And last but certainly not least, Rolla Junior High.
I'm comfortable with all these ties.
I think we'll take a little break after this.
Yeah, that would be great.
There's nodding of the heads all around.
Get my, this end out break.
Want to do it before or after?
Now, let's get this one done.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to use the restroom after this one. How about you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
it's gonna take a break after this conversation.
Yeah.
Just better coaching.
Yeah.
That's why.
Well, I didn't learn.
Yeah. One way or the other. Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan the man. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Hey, I've met you before. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pyramid
Thank you.
with a triangle. It's not really a pyramid. Triangle.
Thank you. Hi, Mrs. Fulton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Well, of course, you know, we're last. I could just say you save the best for last, but I won't do that because every school in the district is the best. And I will tell you that I am just so pleased to work here. But today, it's not about me. It's about the team I've brought with me. And so I've brought with me today Mrs. Garrett, 8th grade science, and I brought Mr. Hauk, 8th grade science, and Kurt Evans. And I have Aaron Pfeiffer, one of our students, and our student council president, Mr. Dan King, Dan the man, and Mr. Storms, my assistant principal. So today, we are here to present to you because, honestly, it's them. They do all the work, and they do a great job. And so you have received some handouts from us. The one I'd like to draw your attention to, and I don't have this one on the board because this is for you, we're going to concentrate on this year, is last year's placemat that I showed you. And so on there, you will see the things that we have met, not met, or actually nothing that we didn't meet. Everything is ongoing because we still have work to do, and we're making strides, but we're getting there, and things that we'll always continue to work on. So I will direct your attention to Goal 1. If you notice conducting the 2 parent surveys, parent involvement has been a tricky thing at Rolla Junior High. It's getting better. We did meet that with both surveys, and we will continue that, of course. And then we will utilize the surveys to receive feedback, and so we have actually looked at those and changed some things based upon our feedback. Established a student organization to lead bully prevention and service learning. We met that. We have the Rolla Junior High School student ambassadors. They meet during the day in pride time because the kids that want to be involved, it's not that we don't let anyone, it's if they want to, they lead lots of different organizations and different things that we do. Dan and Aaron will talk about that a little bit as they're both part of this program. They also receive training from Character Plus, which is what we belong to receive the bully prevention training. And that training is upcoming. We haven't set a date yet, but they'll be coming to Rolla to do that, so we don't have to take our kids to St. Louis. And so as you go through, Goal 2, implemented the student growth measures that we have done as a district. We have implemented them, and this year it is continuing. And Goal 3, if you look down at the bottom of increase the technology resources, last year we had 7 iPad carts, 5 laptop carts, 4 Chromebook carts because we were part of a Chromebook pilot, 420 mobile devices. That's what we have. We have replaced our some of our iPad carts with Chromebook carts this year. We're still making great strides in technology. And everything else there is ongoing in student performance because that's an area that we need to continue to work on. With the exception of CWC classes, we met it, but we have class within a class or co-teaching in every core area, which is our goal. And we're going to continue that because putting more teachers with kids is excellent. It's good strategy. And then on number 5, where it says administrators will attend training to gain expertise in evaluating teachers, I attended with several other administrators the Mike Rutherford training in Columbia. And administrators will use technology to improve communication and efficiency and management as desired by the staff survey. I put met because I met it for that year, but we will always continue that. So with that brief overview, let's continue on to 16-17, shall we? So also in your handout, you have a multi-page handout that will actually give you in detail what we are doing, and it will also give you the measurements of how we're measuring, and I didn't cover the measurements up here today. I wanted it to be just brief and concise for the presentation. So,
We're getting those multi-page.
Dan.
absolutely, Dan's handing them out.
Dan them in.
Yep.
Thank you, sir.
Let's use that next year's calendar too.
Thanks, sir.
Dan serves on the calendar committee too, district calendar committee.
Ooh.
Sorry, Dan.
So we'll all of us on the team will take a different part of this. So on goal 1, students will improve citizenship and individual character traits as evidenced by reductions in discipline data and feedback from parent surveys, and also student surveys. And as we go through, you'll see some of the student survey data that we have as we go through here. One of the things is we talk about at Rolla Junior High is helping others. And one of the things that we also talk about, and Dan will talk about that, but we will also talk about increasing our parents within our building. And that's important because if we're going to improve citizenship, we have to do that with everyone. This year, for the first time, and I know this is going to sound weird, we actually had 8 parents at a parent advisory committee meeting. I was so tickled. That is awesome. And they are coming in, they're doing things for our teachers. Wednesday we had a teacher appreciation dinner, all put on by the parents. It was awesome. And so for us, that is a great goal. We already have a parent advisory committee for the incoming group that's meeting. They're already doing things and serving on our committees for the transition. So while we have been struggling with that for years, we're making great strides, and we're very proud of that. And so I will, at this time, introduce to you Dan King, who will talk about the student aspect of this.
Good evening.
Good evening. So one of the things that we did to start off the year was 2 days before the school year started, we had a transition night for incoming 8th graders and new freshmen to the building. What we did is we had games and a scavenger hunt to help the students become acquainted with the building and so that they could also become acquainted with other students. And so they could tour the building or they could go around the building. And it was a all-around fun night, and we solved a lot of problems with their issues.
Didn't lose anybody on the scavenger hunt.
Another thing that we are about to start is our Grace Food Drive. That starts on November 21st through December 2nd. We are helping out the community for those that are less fortunate. And certain days of the week, we're going to do certain foods. So Grace has suggested that. For instance, we'll have like Macaroni Monday. So students will bring in boxes of uncooked macaroni to donate. Thank you very much.
Great, great idea.
It's a really good idea.
Tuna Tuesday.
Tuna Tuesday.
Tuna Tuesday.
Thursday, Friday.
Tuna Tuesday.
Tuna.
Teriyaki or something.
Cold grain Wednesday.
I'm coming on Thursday.
For the first time last spring, we administered a student climate survey. And part of this is I was curious as to how the students are perceiving our school and where we needed to go to meet their needs. A couple of the questions that I put up here actually deal with bullying and harassment, because at the middle level, that happens quite often, unfortunately. And harassment, intimidation, and bullying by other students is a problem at my school. And I will tell you that these numbers are all over the place. But most of them think they disagree. So everything with most of ours was in a 1 to 3 area. And then one of the other questions we talked about, there are clear rules against bullying and harassment at Rolla Junior High. And those numbers, whenever you look at strongly agree, were very high. Mm-hmm. And so that means that the students respect the rules, they know them, and they follow them. And this survey we've looked at and we've brought to the leadership teams, and we've looked at it as a staff to figure out what we needed to do. So that is the first time we've done it. We will do this again in January with the 9th grade to see where we're at, because we did it with 8th grade, and we'll do it with we'll do everybody, well, actually, we'll do everybody in January as well. So we can keep this ongoing. We're also going to survey the incoming students to find out their fears and things that they need to, that they're worried about. So we'll do that survey as well. We're also going to survey the incoming parents to see what they want to learn about. And last week, we had a speaker, and we had Mr. Jack Berkmeyer. And I was looking at his blogs and things. One of the things within the transition that he brought up, and I'll add here that we are going to do, is to take a box of locks to the grade below that's coming up and teach them how to open them. Because I think that's one of the students' biggest fears. So as we go through, I think we'll find opening your locker will be an issue. And we're going to take a box of locks, and we'll just go teach them how to do locker opening 101.
There you
So
go.
Are you going to take bagels with them?
can we take what?
Locks and bagels?
Lock. Oh, good one. Good one. Aaron,
It's clearly time we should have taken
you
a
want to
break
come talk
before.
about this initiative?
Good evening. Hi.
Hi.
Ms. Fulton mentioned the student ambassadors, and that's a group that I'm a part of, and Dan is also a part of. And that's one of the big things that we've been doing with student ambassadors is trying to stop bullying. We've been completely filling the halls with anti-bullying posters. Every meeting we talk about it. And we've been going through trainings, we've been learning what to do and how to talk to people about bullying and what a big issue it is, because it's a really hard thing and people can feel alone when they have to deal with that. And so we've just been trying to make sure that people know that there is a way to stop bullying and that they have people to talk to and ways to end it.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.
Is there something
Thank
you're doing with your with your discussions that had to do with teddy bear collecting?
Oh, the teddy bear drive?
I saw a sign about that. I just wondered what it was.
Yeah, we're collecting teddy bears and stuffed animals, new or, lightly used, to donate to the hospital to give to children that have to come in, like if they are in an accident or something, or if they're sick and have to be spending time at the hospital, to give them something to make them feel more at home.
That's neat. That's very good.
Cool.
So our second goal, we're going to talk about increasing technology integration. That is a big push in our building. We have 10 teachers and I teach. That's quite a lot. And so our teachers have embraced the technology. They're using it in the classroom with the students. They're teaching each other, which is awesome. And of course, we love having Brenda and Jeannie in our building as much as possible. The individual support they give to our teachers is invaluable. I just want you to know that. Thank you for those positions, because it helps because the teachers will know who to call. And having Brenda in and out and Jeannie in and out, because we have both of them, I just can't tell you. I'll see her walk by one day and I go, "Where are you going?" And she goes, "Oh, I'm going upstairs." And I'm like, "Okay, well, where are you going now?" And then she'll be back in about an hour. So it's wonderful. And thank you very much for that. So we have 13 Chromebook carts at the Rolla Junior High at this time. And that is quite a lot. We have Chromebook carts in almost every core class with the exception of 2 math classes. But there is one across the hall from one and one right next door. So that's quite a feat for us to have that many devices. Now, we'll have a few more kids next year and we'll have some other classrooms, but that's in our plan to add to continue to bring in the technology so we can prepare students for the future. So, very proud of what our teachers are doing with that. So today, Erin is going to come back and tell you about her perspective of technology.
Hi again. If you don't remember me, I was here just a second ago. So as she was saying, we've introduced a lot more technology in the classrooms lately, and so far I've thought that it's been a really good thing. The Chromebooks are some of my favorites of the devices that we have because they're the easiest to type on and do everything, and they're a lot faster than some of the other laptops or computers that we have. and they make things a lot easier. Most of all of our assignments have been moved into Google. We have Google Classroom, which is, the database for teachers to assign things to their students. And I've thought that that's really helpful because it helps to keep track of all of your assignments, and it tells you everything that's going to be due, tells you if you have a late assignment, all of that. It's really nice. So with that, people have been using them a lot more because not only do you get all your assignments, but then we write all of our essays in English class. We put all of them on Google Docs. And one of the best things about that is that later, if you have an assignment due at midnight and it's 6 o'clock and you finish an essay and you're looking it over, and you're like, well, I wrote it. It's not very good though. I should probably get someone to look at this. It's really easy to share it with a friend and have them go through and edit it and, yeah, this is good, but maybe change this, and it makes things a lot easier to have it more clean and polished off before you turn it in.
Yep.
So far, I've really enjoyed having the technology, but there are some drawbacks because personally, I know a few people that don't have internet at home.
Yeah.
And so having everything very internet-based has made it really stressful for them to have to do all of their work at school, especially with big projects online. But it makes it a lot easier. As long as teachers give time to do it in class, they can get everything done, and it makes it a lot easier to do collaborative assignments because, if it's on Google, you can just share it with everyone, and everyone can edit it all at once and make it all good, and it's really helpful. So I've really liked the technology coming into our school, and I think that the teachers have handled it really well.
Good.
I think it's good.
Thank you.
Good job, Aaron.
Thank you.
You should.
The students were surveyed in regards to their perceptions of how we use technology and what we do with our technology. And so that information has just been collected. Those are a few of our responses. And so what I like best about technology in the classrooms is we don't have to keep track of my papers and homework. It's easier to organize notes and other papers.
Can't
And
lose
the
your
Chromebooks
homework in the
are easy to
backpack
use.
anymore.
All students need Chromebooks, and students are concerned, and as she said, that other students don't have it at home. And it is our concern, but our teachers work very hard at helping those students out.
Yep.
So what I'm bringing to you now is Mrs. Jessica Garrett, and she will talk to you about how the teachers are using technology, and she's part of our iTeach team.
Appreciate that. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Mrs. Garrett. I teach 8th grade science over at the junior high school. If you just want to click on the link, it'll take you straight to it. You can go ahead and just go to the first one. That'd be great. Thank you. The first thing I want to say as far as our technology goes, we really can't thank you enough. Making sure that teachers have the tools that we need to ensure student success is absolutely crucial, and we could not do it without the support system of a great school board and a great administration. So thank you so much for that. Just from an outsider's perspective looking in, I came to Rolla about 4 years ago, and I came from a district about maybe 2 or 3 times the size, about 10 elementary schools, 2 middle, 2 high schools. And they're not doing nearly what Rolla does. And if they are, they're teaching technology about an inch deep and a mile wide. And Rolla is amazing at making sure that not only are teachers equipped with the technology that we need, but also how to use it effectively and efficiently to run our classrooms and ensuring that student success by doing that. So I cannot say enough about this district and how great they are in that aspect. How we use them in class. Chromebooks so far, I was a little hesitant at first because anytime you're using any kind of new technology, there's always a learning curve.
Right.
And you're kind of like, okay, so what am I going to have to do differently? What kind of bugs am I going to have to figure out? But they have been an absolute dream. We use them at the junior high for research projects, as Aaron was talking earlier about how you can collaborate and you can assign a research project, and not only can kids work on it as in partners and in groups, but they can, it's live, it's real time. So, you know, they can be working on different sections or different parts, and I love seeing how they figure out, okay, you know, I'm going to do this part, and then you work on this, and I'm better at this part, and it really plays to their strengths, and it just builds that confidence. And I love that. Interactive virtual labs. In science, we do lots of virtual labs, and I was a little hesitant as far as Flash Player, because Flash Player sometimes doesn't work on other devices, but I have not had any problems with the Chromebook. The virtual labs were great at Flash Player, and one of the students right there is doing an interactive element identification where they have to they have to test for conductivity and reactions to isolate different elements. We use them for assessments. Honestly, I was joking with a colleague the other day, and I said, if I had to go to a district and teach without technology, I would be crippled. And I wouldn't even know what to do, because I've just been, it's just been a dream to work here and get to do that. And one of the ways that I was talking about is as far as testing goes and doing summative assessments and doing formative assessments, it's just so much easier, because not only can the students, you know, take their time on it, they can read everything through. Google Forms are great for that aspect. And once they submit it, it's instant feedback. They don't have to wait for me. They can go through and not only see every single question, but they can see what their response is, and it will tell them, you know, you got these right, and then you maybe missed these two, and that's fantastic. Online classrooms. Aaron mentioned Google Classroom. It's a great forum to put all of your resources on. The kids know how to access it. And honestly, the fact that they've been using it already for just, you know, a year or two prior to us, there's really no learning curve for them with Google Classroom, because they're so used to it. It's like old hat to them, and that's fantastic. Like I said before, creating real-time docs and slides, collaborating with other students, and completing their assignments, as Aaron mentioned before. You know, the deadlines are there. They know when it's due. They know how much time, and that goes along with the Bulldog Code of being responsible, and they really have that ownership, which is really great. You want to go ahead and go, benefits of student and teachers. The Chromebooks are super fast. They don't lag, and part of that has to do with the Wi-Fi and how much data we have at the school, and that's fantastic. Crazy long battery life. At the end of the day, if my kids have been using a car all day long, we still have about 2.5 hours left that they could go if they needed to, and that's outstanding. No operating system, no updates. It's 4 months in, and I have yet to hear, Miss Garrett, my computer just shut off. And that is a huge weight. There's no frustration there. The kids don't get frustrated. The teachers don't get frustrated. And that's fantastic, because without an operating system, you don't have to worry about updates. Signing in and out is easy peasy. They know how to do it. They know that once they sign in and they open it, they know exactly where to go. It's one smooth step. And that's been really easy for them and for teachers as well. And then Google Apps. Anytime that we have, you know, Classroom is up there, and then they've got their Drive, they've got their mail, they can, anytime they have a Google app, it goes up on the bar, so they don't ever have to type in anything. They just click on the app and they're there. And Chromebooks are great for that as well. There you go. Over in the science department, this is just a little bit of what we're doing. The kids can access instruction, like any of my screencasts or any of my teachings. They never, you know, old school, when I was in school, I couldn't hit pause on my teacher and rewind them, which would have been great, but it's just we didn't have the technology back then. And nowadays, if they don't understand something, they can just rewind, and they can hear it again and again as many times as they need it. So
Can they speed it up?
What's that?
Can they speed it up?
No, that's a great thing. They can't. There is a button that says prevent skipping. It's a beautiful thing. But once they've watched it, they can go back and then they can fast forward.
Okay.
But it does prevent skipping the first time. But I like the way you're thinking. It reminds me of some other people I know. Formative assessments, like I said before, are really made easy. Using Kahoot, using quizzes, very efficient and fast with the Chromebooks. Practicing vocabulary using Quizlet and all the features that Quizlet owns. You know, it's no longer just making your own flashcards. And with the Chromebooks, it's very, very efficient. Making graphic organizers, using Padlet and Poplet to organize their thoughts or organize scientific hierarchies is another great way that we use them. And like I said, virtual labs. The student on the board is using an atom builder to build subatomic particles and learning about atoms and elements. And the Chromebooks are just an absolute breeze and an absolute dream. So that being said, Thank you again for your support and helping every student
Thank you.
succeed. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Goal 3 is where we, with our professional learning communities that we have in our departments, will set specific SMART goals to increase student performance. When we do this, this isn't something I do. Each department does this. Each department has their own goal, and they have their own numbers to meet and strive to. They have to review it continually, and so they are always required to feed back to us the information. Within that, we have tried to make all of our PLC time and all of this data just open to them all the time. So we have in our Rolla Junior High Google site where everything is uploaded. Whenever they give me their PLC notes and talk about their SMART goal, I get an email. I'm able to then interact back with them if they have questions or look at it and provide feedback. So that's one of the ways that we're using as an administrative team. And everything is available to everyone at every time. So every department can see what everyone else is doing at any time they wish. They all have access. That's one of the things I did last year, and that's proved to be very well, and we're going to continue that. Teachers will attend. One of the things that I have on there to attend professional conferences to improve pedagogy. Speaking of that, I have 5 teachers at the National Math Conference in St. Louis at this time, and they keep sending me updates all day and all the things that they're learning, and that has been great. Our staff is really good, and we do devote some of our money to paying for subs so we can do technology training in-house. That has been a really good thing. I would like to introduce to you Mr. Rob Hauk, who just got a specialist degree, and we're very proud of him for that. And he will talk to us about his experiences at Rolla Junior High.
Hey everybody, how are you?
Good.
Thank you all for having us. I came in from a school district where I had 1-to-1 for the last 5 years. So every kid in my classroom for the last 5 years had a computer. And in Rolla, I don't notice a difference. Even though they don't take it with them, Mrs. Fulton, Mr. Storms, and you have provided me the opportunity to continue that experience. And because of that, I can take my kids farther than ever before. Continuing to learn, continuing to grow, but they are teaching me as much as I am teaching them through the use of technology, but we are taking them to new heights. And so real quick, if you guys kind of look up on the board, showing you a project we did in current events recently, we had our own election. And I have run these for years, but technology takes it farther than ever before. Previously, whenever I ran a class election, I would have to take everybody into the gym, we'd hold a class debate, we'd put out some posters. This year with technology, we did everything online. In my classroom, we had our own class debate. In a second, you're going to see YouTube video that you guys can still go to if you go to my YouTube and see our kids debate against each other as we held our primaries and then eventually against each other as candidates. And then we came back and we used the actual election and they voted against Trump or Clinton or the other alternatives. And it just allowed our kids to get involved. Instead of just hearing about it and seeing in the news and seeing negative journalism, they were able to take a role in this and actively pursue their own education. And instead of me making it, they took their hands on. And it was through me putting it out through my YouTube, but the kids are the ones who did all the work. They were the ones who got the videos and they shot the footage and they edited and then they created the form so that we could come in and vote electronically, which made their life easy. Instead of hand counting all of the ballots, they did it automatically. But again, this is not just coming out and hearing history, they're living history. They're living the moment and actively involved in their education and creating something that they wanted to do and be involved in. And so again, I want to thank you guys and thank our wonderful bosses for that opportunity. And our kids are really doing well. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey.
You can follow Mr. Hauk on Twitter at Hauk History, I believe.
Yes.
So he shares a lot of what he does in his classroom there, and his YouTube channel is great. So at this time, I'm going to turn this over to Mr. Storms.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It's a pleasure to be back with you again. It doesn't seem like a year.
No, it doesn't.
Amazing. I want to talk about Goal 4 and kind of the overall process with that. Goal 4 for us is the one which we have working with students in growth in academic areas. And one of the things in that process is that our teachers meet departmentally and they revise their SMART goals each year through the PLC process. And their heavy use of common assessments and the common assessment data is helping them to look at areas where they can improve, look at where they can revise instruction, and help them feel confident at setting the goals that they need to set, both for their individual departmental goals and individual student goals. Google, the use of Google, which you've heard lots about. One of the things which I heard from a teacher just today, which was something that I wanted to share, another new first for how we're using Google, was this teacher happens to be helping one of our students, which is currently homebound. And they were able to work with this student for about an hour and a half. The student was able to get a lot of things done and submit them right then and there. Have them out of the way. The teacher sent both Mrs. Fulton and I a text, saying just what an awesome, powerful tool this is. Because usually when you're involved in that type of situation with a student that's not able to be in school, there's a lot of communication back and forth and moving things back and forth. And Google Classroom is really helping this student that is not able to be in the regular classroom right now. Also want to talk a little bit about some of the academic things in which we are doing to monitor, and then I will talk about the interventions later. But we are using Google in between the teachers, etc. We monitor grades weekly to try to pick up kids that we see drops in that fall down the D, F range. We have, of course, our intervention, which we started last year, which we're continuing. We're still using, tweaking it, which I'll talk about a little bit more later, morning tutoring. But one of the unique things, and I'm still learning lots about various Google apps and want to learn more of them, but I use Google Docs probably the most, and Google Sheets. But I like Google Sheets a lot because we can easily share them with all the staff, and we can quickly reference them to take a look at kids that have currently fallen a little bit. And then they can be responding to them, talking with them in the classroom about, hey, can we do something right now? Since you've got this out of the way, you excel in my English class, let's do something to get your science going. And it's helped our pride time teachers a lot, et cetera. It's given what we got with the morning tutoring, it's given more reactive, more immediacy, and a quicker, easier way to communicate. And so we will continue to look and find some more of those things as we get better, as administrators and staff members at finding interesting and useful and productive ways to use new technology. I'm going to let Ms. Fulton share with you a little bit about the MAP and EOC data, and then I'm going to come back to you and talk a little bit more about some of the various interventions and the process that we're still using to revise, renew, and start new.
The team at Rolla Junior High does an outstanding job with our students. They are caring, they're kind, they're compassionate, but yet they're also fair, firm, and consistent with kids and holding them to high expectations, as evidenced by our MAP scores. The maroon is Rolla Junior High, and the gray is state. We have scored above state average in every area that we test, which is English, math, science at the 8th grade level, biology, algebra, and geometry. And so we're very proud of that. We will still continue to strive. We don't want to just exceed. We want to, go off the charts with those scores. And so we are continuing to work and refine and work with curriculum and Mr. Hounsome and to make this even better as we go through, as we're writing curriculum this year and the things that we're doing. So we're very proud of what we do. And this is not the only data we look at, but this is the one that I brought. I mean, teachers look at data all of the time and what they do. So I'm very proud of them. They do a great job.
Excellent.
Okay, so I'm going to share a little bit more about interventions, and one of the ones which has really helped us last year, and I'm going to share some more data and how that's helping us again this year, pick up kids before they get too lost. And we're doing weekly checks to see if we have kids that have fallen into an academic decline where they have 2 or more Fs. We found that it's we have access to the majority of our kids before school. Most of them are there due to the fact that the transportation brings our kids before they bring some of the elementary and middle school. And they're also there, lots of them are there to have breakfast, et cetera. So we facilitate that, put that together, and if they are a student which is identified each week, we do that as failing in 2 or more core subjects, we pick them up into morning tutoring. And our teachers are meeting with these students in the library, and we're trying to pick these students back up, get them back on track, and we're having good success with it. And in our second year of doing it, we're even getting a little better with it, and we're actually able to open it now to some students that just want to go ahead and come on in there because they are struggling in a certain class. And so it continues to go well. I put together a little bit of data here to share with you, and of course this is our first quarter data, but we've had these kids which are listed that have come into the program, have been, as I would say, recognize that we need to provide some help to them to get them back up to the point they need to be. And it may be for various reasons. It could be for attendance, it could be for academic struggles, but we can get that done, morning tutoring, pick them back up, and use what are various strategies that we find necessary, whether it's helping them improve their attendance, helping them improve their organization, helping them with some key learning concepts that they might have missed in the past. They get that one-on-one time in morning tutoring, or if they need more, we sometimes look at our after-school tutoring with it, but it's been working well for most of the students. So the data here we have is sharing again once we're being very successful with it, and 80% of our students, which we've had this year, are now out. They have their grades all up in the area of passing and are succeeding. I'd like to talk a little bit more about our whole overall process of interventions and for all our kids, etc. Most of you have seen this as before. We've shared a triangle similar to this, and if you're familiar with response to intervention, you'll see these, whether it be programs such as PBS, Care, etc. They're all based upon what levels that kids need for various things. We have this triangle put in place. We find that this is something that we occasionally tweak, occasionally modify, but we have a process, we have a committee put in place at the junior high school that I head up, which is the RJH Character Committee. And this committee is broken into 2 separate groups. They're broken into incentives and interventions. And the incentive folks are the ones that help out with recognizing kids for good attendance and recognizing kids for improving their academics and recognizing kids for various other things. The Bulldog Buck program, doing it right, following the Bulldog Code. And then they also are the ones which work on the monthly character lessons and sharing those in pride. Within the same committee, we have the folks which are working on the academic interventions. And we look at those, we talk about them, we discuss them, and we make revisions. We've made some of our revisions, some of our changes to our morning tutoring, which was new to us last year, and like how we communicate using the Google Docs, etc. And we've become very successful. So monthly we take a look at data related to academics with kids, with behavior also, and with attendance. And then we discuss various ways that we either can use our interventions that are in place for these kids, or we ask ourselves if there's other ones that we can develop or start, etc. And it's helping us be more responsive and more successful in addressing kids for the needs of this goal. Some of the other things which are going on, so the last slide is you have one, the next one which you 5.
This one? 5?
Yes.
Oh, the last slide.
Yeah. So in wrapping up, I guess I would ask you if you have any questions about the interventions, and if any of you are curious about one of them, just come see some of them. Stop by, we're real happy. And if you've heard about some, I know you all are currently involved in your book study and other things, we'd like to hear about them too. We put those in our monthly process where we brainstorm, talk about.
So Andy, you said some kids actually, on their own, they haven't had to be referred to the morning tutoring, have said, can I come to motor?
Right. Because they find it as another time access to technology, they go to the library, use the computers, use the Google apps, you know, et cetera. And they recognize that they need a little bit extra help or have some
good.
questions, and
Yeah.
they can find a staff
great.
member who, of course, that's
Very good.
Thanks for the time for us to share.
Thank you.
So the team that I have is absolutely fabulous. And as we go through and we look at things as a group and a leadership team as a leadership team, and we survey the staff every year, one of the things that has stood out is that our teachers wanted more time to learn about something that is relevant to them. So one thing that I did based upon, actually not me, it was all of us, we recommended a personalized PD day. And I know that sounds really weird, but what it is the teachers have to fill out a Google form stating what they're going to study for that day. And they get usually an hour or 2 hours to choose anything they'd like. And we let them do that. We visit them. As they go through, they can do it individually. They can work as a group. It is a topic that interests them. So when they do that, they get done. They have an accountability form that they send back to us along with feedback. How do you like it? What can we do to make it better? The leadership team has compiled about 30 pages of resources for them that they can pull from, or they can pull their own. They can read books relevant to what they're studying or to what they're doing or having problems in the classroom. From our feedback and our survey, that has been one of the most successful things that we've done for our staff. And we piloted it last year. We've done one. We won't do more than two, but we will do them. And the learning is amazing. You find that collaboration time and you find them connecting with each other, and that has been wonderful to witness and experience and to know that they value that time. So that is one of the things that our survey has come up with, as well as to continue to communicate as much as possible. And we do that. We hold monthly leadership meetings. We hold, Andy holds his leadership meetings with his groups. We communicate with all of our stakeholders via, we put social media on there this year because when we do things, we can send it to Ms. Ravenel and she can send it out through Facebook. And I do it through Twitter and she does it through Twitter. And so we have various means that we're communicating with everybody. And I will tell you that that has worked very well. I'm using a newsletter form called S'more, and it tracks all of the data. And once you send the link out, first time it went out, it was, oh my gosh, it went to twice, 3 times, 4 times. I kept getting phone calls. It's going again. But when it tracks how many people read it, and they can look at it, we can put appointments, they can RSVP. It has been great. And I will tell you, one of the best things that we have in our district is the ability to work together. When I work with Dr. Pritchett and Mrs. Herman and Mr. Smith and Mr. Duncan and Mr. Chapman, and I don't get to see you as much.
Oh, we will.
We will. We will. We will. It's wonderful. And also to work with the middle school. It has been truly a blessing to have that support. And I just can't experience, my other schools I didn't see that. I do have that here, and that's wonderful. I want to thank you for your time as well. So, do you have any questions?
Any questions, guys?
Thank you.
Very good, thank
I
you.
think my kids have one more thing, though.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
uh-oh.
They heard through the grapevine it was somebody's birthday today.
Oh, what is it? Happy birthday from Rolla Junior High. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness.
Happy
birthday.
Oh no.
Happy birthday to you.
Oh goodness.
Happy birthday, dear Dave. Happy birthday to you.
Awesome.
Oh, my goodness.
Thank you. Thank you.
And please come to Rolla Junior High anytime you'd like. We'd love to have you.
Thank you very much.
Split that about 12 ways.
Yeah.
At least 7.
I'm gonna hide it.
Thanks, guys.